Mind the gap, an expression I encountered at every train station during my year in England. I didn't realize how significant that expression would be until I returned home to California. It had been a beautiful year of time alone in my thoughts, ferociously reading, and formulating a thesis. I learned to knit, explored many towns and cities, made some really wonderful friends. After I submitted my thesis, I celebrated with a bottle of cheap French wine in my little loft at the University of York. When my feet were back in California, I wasn't aware of the challenging years ahead. A gap, you could say. After not finding work in the field that I earned my master's in, and really second-guessing the field I chose, I quickly sought employment of any kind. I found myself working 2 jobs that challenged everything I knew, and sometimes made me really uncomfortable. I spent my days working in a special education preschool, and my evenings catering and pouring in a local wine tasting room. Originally, I thought those jobs would be remarkably distinct, but quickly realized they weren't all that different. I taught 3-year-olds that sometimes told me to fuck off, and watched wealthy old men throw impressive tantrums if I brought them the wrong glass of wine or failed to tell them which countries their cheeses came from. Both jobs became a study in human behavior, teaching me that human beings communicate in many unique ways, and not always verbally, appropriately, and sometimes the fewest words are preferable. In any case, we all want to be heard. Human beings need color, spontaneous exploration, novelty, order, disorder, experiences that don't always make sense. We don't always need to travel far distances to engage in new worlds. The best experiences engage in all of our senses. Human beings need connection. I spent so much of my time in both jobs thinking about what I could give to my students and customers. I didn't consider until much later how much serving them gave back to me. Growing up, I was expected to seek an education before I even knew what school was. I found out it was a place you had to be even if you didn't want to go. A place that was full of people, yet could be so lonely at the same time. A place you had to go to get ahead. I learned that listening, cooperating, following directions would guarantee that you were educated to some degree. When I had to mind the gap, this time away from formal education, is that knowledge is synonymous with experience. Real education happens within its undoing. When we decide our greatest teachers aren't just the people standing at the front of a classroom. When we learn just as much in the absence of cooperation. When we choose to navigate directions creatively. When we decide knowledge must be obtained as much as it is given away. That going far is just as meaningful as standing still.